You are beautiful. You were a good dream. You are a shining star in a cold, dark nighttime world. Hi, I know it's been a while since I've made a video. It is November the 10th right now, and that's important because throughout the year different types of plants are at different stages. And to know how to live, during February and what plants to eat and what plants you can gather for whatever purposes is a little different from knowing what's going on in November. So up in the mountains, say in the Bradshaws, it's a good time to gather goldenrod tea. This is drying right now. So now I'm in the desert near Phoenix right now. Again, I specifically picked this part of the desert because it's so typical and scrubby and trashy. I mean, this is the kind of place where people go out and dump their garbage and go riding around on their ATCs. And the reason I picked it is because it's a very unattractive, uninteresting part of the desert. And even here, we've got food everywhere in November. Here is a mesquite tree, and you'll see that these pods are at the moment green. So I've been splitting open this pod little by little. You don't have to use a knife, your fingernails work. There you go, that actually worked a little better. And you can see that inside the pod there is essentially a little green pea, which is really good. It tastes like a pea actually. So it can be eaten raw or it could be boiled up. So if you were going to live out here in November, you have to understand, okay, all over here there are three kinds of trees that grow all over the place here, no matter where you are. This is not a special section of Arizona. The three types of trees that grow everywhere are quite a few different species of mesquite, also ironwood and palo verde. They're everywhere. So if you're in a state where palo verde isn't common, but you're in a desert southwest state, chances are you're going to find a lot of mesquite. And you could live off of this right now at this time of the year. My belief is that you should live on whatever is growing at any particular given time of year. If you did, you would have a completely nutritious diet. You would have all the nutrition that you need if in season you gathered the foods that were naturally available in the wilderness. And you would actually not have so many of these modern westernized diseases that we have because of eating the wrong things, eating sugar, eating processed foods that have been canned in containers that cause diseases. There's millions and millions of these trees out here. Remember that I did a video in the springtime where there was all this other food available. The mesquite trees were everywhere, but there weren't any pods on them yet. Well, now we're at the opposite end of that, where all the pods have now produced, the trees have produced a lot of food that's available just for picking. It's free, You don't have to have any money. You can live exactly the way we were designed to live, which is free, off the land. And what's anybody going to do? How are they going to bother you for harvesting mesquite pods? Up in the mountains at this time of the year, you're also going to be finding acorns. And depends on where you are, what you find. Obviously, there's desert foods, there's mountain foods, and now is the time to be gathering things that would last you through the winter if you're going to spend the winter in a place like up in the mountains where you get snowed in. So that rather than relying entirely on hunting, which could make you go hungry if hunting isn't good, then you will have gathered a lot of food just like a squirrel that you can store for the winter and eat off of through the frozen 3 or 4 months.
I don't need some giant place to call my house with endless space. I'll build a shack among the trees to keep me dry. I've easy place, and I don't need.
Here's a chaparral or creosote bush that's still flowering. It's still got buds on it, which may indicate that it's even at this point still a good plant for gathering for medicine. Different plants or trees will have their fruits ready for harvest later than others just because of a difference in altitude. And you'll see there are, even at this altitude, you'll have some mesquite trees, for instance, that have pods and some that don't. So you just have to walk. You got to keep your eyes open. That's the only hard and fast rule for when to harvest. What really is just keep your eyes open. This looks like a running board from a Model T. Cool. Canyon ragweed. These still have leaves on them, although they're looking pretty bad right now. In this wash, there are a lot of Palo Verde trees that have dried pods still hanging on them. That one there is just filled with dried pods. This particular species of Palo Verde, when these seeds are dried up like this, they are really, really tough. I've seen thornbush and wolfberry bushes that actually had berries on them at this time of the year, but these that I'm finding right now in this area don't. These orange berries are the exception. I'm seeing a few of them. This is a massive bush, and it doesn't have very many on it, but I don't even know what the species of these berries is, but I do know that they're tasty, just from personal experimentation. This one's a little hard, actually. It was just surprising. So you can see that there's green ones. They're just growing. These are coming into season. So whatever species they are, I don't know. I know they're yummy, and they grow all over out here if you look for them. There's just massive thicket of these berries. There's another similar one I've found, and I've only found it in one place. There are orange berries just like that on a bush that looks very similar. But they actually have the kind of little ribs or creases that are in a pumpkin. You know, when you look at a pumpkin, you know, it's got the lines going down it. Those berries are they're essentially the same berry, and they're made like a little miniature pumpkin They're also really good. No idea what species it is. I've never found them in a book or on the internet. If anybody knows, I'd love to hear it. Thanks. Don't try that experiment at home, I eat random berries sometimes because when you've lived the life I've lived, you don't really care anymore. So I'm more interested in finding out if it makes me puke or if it puts a smile on my face, because it's really darn good. And those pumpkin-shaped berries I'm talking about, I learned that from a Sasquatch. I wasn't the first to eat it. I saw the Sasquatch do with the berries in it, because they don't digest them very well. So with that in mind, I decided I should try it. If it's good enough for Bigfoot, it's good enough for me. Losing berries. Just realize how unrealistic this belief is that we couldn't live without grocery stores and modern technology. Once again, so there's not any confusion, I didn't come here because I knew of a secret place that's really awesome where there's berries. I came to this exact spot because it was the most boring, uninteresting, miserable looking piece of desert I could find close to Phoenix, aside from the lots inside the city. Maybe I should do some lots too, just for the fun of it, because I don't want people to have the false impression that you have to know where to go. If you just ditched your car and started walking, you will find places, you will find things, because that's the way the Creator made nature. He made us and nature part of the same thing. He intended for us to blend with nature the same way that the animals do, and He provided everything we need in nature for us to do that. It was our decision to make perverted choices and to go completely against nature in every way we can, and that's part of being a fallen race in a fallen world. These are turning into big fluffy silky balls of cotton as they expand and open up, which could be used for stuffing if you were going to make a jacket, or somebody has underwear. Cool. This is a typical wash in the middle of the desert outside of Phoenix, where everybody throws away their crap. They don't have any respect. If anything, it's a place to party, get drunk, get laid, get high, and they don't even realize that they're surrounded by an amazing treasure that would free them, if they understood it, from poverty. It free them from the stress of wage labor and salary labor, if they understood it. I get frustrated by the fact that people don't, because it's so difficult to make the decision to leave behind civilization and go out here all by yourself with no friends, no family, nobody's coming with you. They all think you're crazy. And according to the ancient elders of the Native Americans who resisted the re-education, the forced compulsory education of their children in public schools, and they resisted all of this, they knew this. To them, we're the crazy people. To me, well, I agree. And of course, being a free market, laissez-faire, free enterprise capitalist, I understand the value of capitalism and free enterprise and working and providing, inventing and providing for needs that people have, making life easier. I understand that completely. We've gotten to a point where we've completely perverted the creativity and the ingenuity of man and turned it into something that's completely, totally contrary to the natural order. It's very difficult for me to watch people play the poverty game. When you got young guys who are 19 years old holding a sign, anything will help, buddy. God bless. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and they play the poverty game. And it's hard to watch that when I come out here and I see this. And prior to the invention of money and the idea of private real estate and stuff like this, there was no poverty. If you were hungry, you were poor. That's it. So if you were hungry, it was really, if you were hungry or thirsty, the answer to that problem was migration. Going somewhere where there's not a drought. Going somewhere where the food grows plentiful. And I'm in a place that has been in a drought for at least a generation. I'm in a place where the seasonal rains haven't been falling regularly, consistently in their season, and yet there's food everywhere. So hunger in a place like this would be due to the fact that, well, it would be overpopulation, because for the few people like you who know the secrets, which shouldn't be secrets, about what's available out here to eat and all this stuff, there's plenty. If all 7 million people in Arizona or something left the cities and all decided to live out in the wild, okay, that would be an overpopulation problem. But they're not going to, so don't worry. They're blind. You're not. That's why you're watching this.
What is this fascinating mystery that wraps around and captures me? She loves all life and drinks the air. Breathes the air and dreams so free. That taunt me. Wants to be with the one I loved across 3,000 miles of sea. Now she's in the arms of someone else.
Your acacia bush, tree, whatever you want to call it. And here's what the seed looks like. I'm gonna find out how hard and crunchy it is. Tastes pretty good. It's nutty. Takes a little while after chewing it before that strange bitter-ish taste that's so common with acacia hits you. Until that happens, it's a mouthful of yum. After that happens, it's a mouthful of, what weird thing did I just eat? The main thing to be aware of is that in this dried out state, this is a perfect legume for winter. Just to store it in a basket that you wove out of desert materials that you found for free, and keep it for food for the winter.
All I need to breathe is love. Love is empty.
cool. Look at this. Crossing the highway now. Lots of wild donkeys out here. Seems to be a higher than usual water table right here. I love when I find this stuff. This is a Palo Verde tree that's the size of a normal full-grown tree of any other kind. Whenever they tell you in some book how big Palo Verdes grow, it's kind of BS, because this thing is huge. And to me that means there's a lot of water that collects right here often. There's water in the ground for extended periods of time after it rains. This is quite a bit farther down that wash I was in. That wash led to the road, and now this is the other side. This area gets a lot of water. And what happens most likely is that the runoff after it rains just kind of comes this direction and gathers here, which might mean that it's a good place to experiment with acacia farming or dry farming, because you want to use a place where the rainwater kind of goes and settles so it's got moisture for a longer period of time than the other plants out here in the desert. So I'm no expert in acacia farming. I've made several attempts that didn't work. So that's somewhere where those local Native Americans who know a little bit about it can certainly help the rest of us. Sasquatches love this area. Is it Bigfoot poo? Or is it javelina poo? You decide. One thing I can tell you is it's all vegetarian. There's no animal product in that poo, so it's not coyote poo. And oh, let's go back. And it's always very helpful to examine this and see what this thing has been eating. There are some interesting seed. I have to take a closer look at what's around me to see what that is it's actually been eating. That's one of the ways I learn these things is by looking at Sasquatch doo-doo. This is of particular interest to me right now, and I'm trying to decide if it comes from a mesquite pod or if it's something else. That animal may be the one who kind of made this trail, because you're finding his droppings in various places all along the trail. Here's more, and it's so deteriorated. And I think we just solved the question. This animal is eating mesquite pods whole, chewing them up, swallowing them. That's what that seed is. It's the inside part of the mesquite pod. And now I can see in that really deteriorated pile that he's got larger chunks of the mesquite pod in it. So that's kind of cool. The animal eats mesquite, part of its staple diet. Unfortunately, I haven't learned of any new plants or berries that I've been wondering about or don't know about, though, because that guy just likes, guy or girl, likes the mesquite. Interesting. Looks like a wild donkey's been also eating mesquite. I guess, one thing you can learn from that is, all these animals out here eat the foods that are available when they're available. All those droppings are fairly old, so in the last month or two, the mesquite pods have been getting ripe. Right now, this is probably at about the end of the mesquite pod season. Okay, so the donkeys and the Sasquatches, or the javelina maybe, have been really enjoying that stuff. So, as human beings, what do we learn from that? I mean, we all think we're better than animals, of course. Here's the wild ass hoof prints here. Our diet from the grocery store is a lot more fun. It's a lot more entertaining. I'll tell you what, I've been having a lot of fun cooking and learning new things with the slow cooker, so I can get it all ready, walk away. I've got dinner waiting for me right now. And with modern technology, it's a lot more convenient. It tastes a lot better with all the spices that we can get from all over the world. But what's necessary is just eating, not eating entertaining foods or convenient foods. And all these animals out here have no problem at all finding food enough for themselves and enough for their young, their offspring. And we need to learn from that and stop panicking over the basics in life.